Hello there. Good evening and compliments of the season. Great to have you join us on this week's edition of your Saturday Tonic, the Weekend File, where issues of national interests are x-rayed and possible solutions proffered. For tonight, we turn our attention to the 2021 cropping season, prospects and challenges. Nigeria have recorded steady growth in food production since 2015. The growth is attributed to good climatic condition for cultivation and the support the farmers are getting from government. But in 2020, last year of course, the food dropped due to three reasons. One is the weather that brought about flood in the northern states and drought in the west. The second factor is the lockdown as a result of COVID-19, which as a result supply of inputs was restricted. And the third major challenge is the high cost of farming inputs. Now, the 2021 wet season farming is set to commence and farmers are getting set for activities. But will the weather be favorable this year? How about access to inputs? How is the government supporting farmers? These are the questions and much more we shall be analyzing through well-researched and packaged reports from our correspondents across the country and of course during our discussion segments. Professor Mohammed Kali Uthman is the former Executive Director of National Agricultural Extension and Research License Services and Professor of Extension Agricultural Engineering of ABU, Zaria. And he joins me from our Kaduna Network Center. I'm Joseph Johnson. Always a pleasure knowing I've got your company. Thank you for that. Let's bring the news first. Let's begin by telling you that President Muhammadu Buhari strongly condemns the dastardly attack on Monday night in 3 communities in Ishielu local government area of Ebonyi State. The president has directed law enforcement agencies to fish out the attackers to face justice, stressing that the perpetrators of this heinous attack should not be spared. The president extends his deepest sympathies to families and friends who have lost loved ones and members of the communities in Ebonyi State traumatized by these despicable acts of wickedness. The president also sent a message of sympathy to the former governor of Central Bank of Nigeria and a member of the Presidential Economic Advisory Council, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, who survived an attack by gunmen in Agwata local government area of Anambra State, as he consults with people on his political aspiration, expressing concern at the influx of illegal weapons. President Buhari reassures Nigerians that ongoing efforts which had led to the record recovery of illegal weapons and arrests of a large number of arms suppliers would be intensified. The Nigerian Air Force says intelligence reports indicate that the Alpha Jet aircraft NAV 475 that went off the radar with 2 crew members on board on 31 March 2021 might have crashed. In a statement released this Friday by the NAV Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Edward Backwet, the cause of the crash as well as the whereabouts of the 2 pilots remain unknown. The pilots, Flight Lieutenant John Abolariwa and Flight Lieutenant Ebiakbo Chapele. Extensive search and rescue efforts supervised by the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, are still ongoing by NAV surveillance aircraft as well as NAV Special Forces and Nigerian Army troops on ground. The NAV says it is not ruling out anything regarding the incident. It, however, remains hopeful that the crew would soon be found and rescued. Traders at the tire section of Agodi Spare Parts Market in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, are counting their losses following an early morning inferno. The report.
The fire incident, which destroyed over 300 shops, started at about 11 p.m. last night and was still ravaging till early morning when NTA crew was at the scene. Shop owners and sympathizers were seen salvaging goods and property at the scene, while firefighters were equally around trying to put out the fire. Some shop owners and people that lost property to the fire incident responded.
The fire started at about 10:30 and 11 p.m. yesterday. We called the firefighters, but because of the road accessibility, the fire escalated further. Almost all the shops were destroyed.
If I reduce the money, is about 10 million to 6 million naira.
They are of the view that had the road to the spare parts market was motorable, fire trucks would have been able to put the fire off on time. They also called on state and federal government for assistance. In Ibadan, Lawahid, NTA News.
Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, Africa's largest television network, has continued to maintain its dominance in the continent's broadcast industry as President of the Senate, Ahmad Ibrahim Lawan, inaugurates NTA Gashua Station. Yunusa Suleiman reports that at the inauguration ceremony of the digital station, the President of the Senate pledges to facilitate the procurement of 2 utility vehicles and an outside broadcast van for effective service delivery to the benefiting communities.
With the cutting of that ribbon by the President of the Senate, Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan, flanked by the Director General of the NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, and other dignitaries, NTA Gashua is formally inaugurated to commence transmission. The inauguration of the station is a historic moment in the history of the ancient town of Gashua and the entire Yobe North Senatorial District, as the station finally comes on air 21 years after the idea for its establishment was conceived. With state-of-the-art digital equipment, NTA Gashua now transmits on channel 33 UHF from the 2.5 kilowatts digital transmitter, which has the capacity to radiate signal up to 150 kilometers radius.
The NTA, of course, here will provide the opportunity for the people to have their responses, their reactions, and their feedbacks on the various projects, the various programs of the federal government and even the state government.
I stand here today and boldly call on the Yobe State government, the Badi local government authorities, and the entire Gashua community to take possession of what rightly belongs to you. Take possession, protect it, and guard it jealously.
The medium is expected to initiate local programs aimed at informing, educating, and entertaining hundreds of viewers within its area of coverage. The DG NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, anchors the first official live discussion program that featured President of the Senate, where issues on how the station can impact positively on the lives of people in the area took center stage. From Gashua, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Speaker, House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, and the new Speaker of the Ghanaian Parliament, Mr. Albert Bagbin, have agreed to strengthen parliamentary relations in a bid to find lasting solutions to challenges such as the trade dispute involving some Nigerian traders in Ghana. This was during a Zoom meeting over the weekend. Gbajabiamila told his counterpart that the two countries were like siblings and should continue to explore the avenue of parliamentary diplomacy in addressing shared challenges, adding that there was much to learn from each other. The Nigerian speaker also explained a project they initiated, or he initiated rather, with 5 other African speakers, including the Conference of Speakers of African Parliaments, which advocated for debt relief, and that this year African speakers and heads of parliaments are expected to gather in Abuja to explore how they could work better together to tackle collective challenges. The federal government says it is ready to take possession of its assets and uncovered spaces, especially around bridges in Lagos State. Minister of Works and Housing Babatunde Fashola notes that this is to check unauthorized activities that can affect the integrity of road infrastructure. Adeni Taiwo completes the report.
For about 8 months, the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing was busy with major repair works on the superstructure of the Third Mainland Bridge and has now turned its attention to carrying out underwater repairs on defective piles under the bridge. But unauthorized activities along the shoreline and under the bridges, especially at Adekunle end of the Third Mainland Bridge, are of major concern. This engagement between Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola and those using under the Adekunle Bridge for unauthorized activities established a new timeline for them to vacate the area, while others erecting structures without permit are also warned to discontinue such projects.
We want to have another look at the kind of structures that are being proposed for this place and how they support or do not support the current integrity of all of the substructures here. Those who want to run transport business must find the appropriate parking areas, the appropriate trailer parks, not under bridges.
The minister also inspected ongoing rehabilitation of the 8-kilometer outer Marina Road in Victoria Island being financed under Sukuk Fund.
Transport network is critical to the ease of doing business, and this is one of the many supports of the federal government to states across the country.
It is closed that Lagos-Badagry Expressway has been penciled down for Sukuk financing as government looks forward to expanding the funding instrument in 2021. In Lagos, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Federal Road Safety Corps FRSC says its commitment to ensuring sanity on nation's highways is irreversible for free flow of traffic and also to reduce road crashes occasioned by indiscriminate parking of trailers and other articulated vehicles on the highways. FRSC Corps Marshal Boboyoyemi stated this while monitoring level of compliance with the federal government's campaign on safer highways at the Ogere section of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Yemi Dalmo reports.
Worried by the cases of road crashes on nation's highways, the federal government ordered the Federal Road Safety Corps to clear the highway of indiscriminate parking of trailers and other articulated vehicles to reduce gridlock and accidents on the road. FRS Corps Marshal Boboye Oyeyemi, while monitoring the execution of the order at the Ogere section of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, says the order remains effective and any erring driver of articulated vehicles caught for disobeying the order will not be spared for sanctions.
Ogere is associated with gridlock. It's one lane that will be struggling and you spend almost 30-40 minutes before you can get out. But now we have complied with the presidential directive. The road is free now. And we're going to sustain this.
Everybody has been sensitized. Even the drivers, they talk to themselves. No vehicle is allowed to park on the road.
Men of the FRSC Corps Ogun State Command later told some articulated vehicles caught for disobeying the order to their Ogere office, while drivers of the vehicles escaped arrest. In Abeokuta, Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari condoles with the family, friends and acquaintances of Yinka Odumakin, spokesman for Yoruba socio-political group Afenifere. The late Odumakin was also a spokesman for the then General Buhari as presidential candidate of the defunct Congress for Progressive Change CPC in 2011. The president recalls Odumakin as a dutiful person of conviction, expressing sorrow at his demise when he had a lot more to contribute to the society and the nation at large. President Buhari praised God to grant repose to the soul of the departed activist and comfort to all those left to mourn him. Also, family and close friends are trooping Omole Estate residents of the Odumakins to commiserate with the widow of the late human rights activist Yinka Odumakin, who died today. Hingono John spoke to the wife, and here is the report.
Late Yinka Odumakin's widow, Joe, and some family members eulogizing his fighting spirit as a human rights activist. Nigerians were thrown into shock with the news of the demise of the renowned human rights activist Saturday morning.
He was diagnosed for COVID. After treatments for days, he was certified negative. Therefore, he was transferred to LASUT, critical care unit. And since that time, we've been holding on.
Known for his passion for emancipation of humanity, coincidentally, late Yinka Odumakin was born on World Human Rights Day, December 10, 1966, in Lagos. Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is shocked at the sad news of the death of Yinka Odumakin, the spokesperson of the Pan-Yoruba group Afenifere. The Vice President commiserates with the wife, family and associates of the deceased who passed on this Saturday morning after a battle with complications from COVID-19. A statement from the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity in the office of the Vice President, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo prays that the Lord will comfort the family and bless his memory always. Meanwhile, national leader of the APC, Bola Tinubu, describes the death of Yinka Odumakin as a premature departure of a bright star. He says the spokesman of Afenifere was a committed fighter for democracy, dedicated civil society activist, courageous and outspoken defender of whatever ideals and principles he believed in, and a patriotic citizen in every sense of the word. Ever since his student days, Odumakin had been fearless and unrelenting in speaking up in and promoting the cause of justice and what he perceived as the best interest of the citizens of Nigeria. Tinubu expresses heartfelt condolences to Chief Ayo Adebanjo, the Afenifere leader, and all other leaders and members of Afenifere, as well as all Yinka's associates in the civil society movement and the family. Similarly, the All Progressives Congress Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee has extended condolences to the families of late Yinka Odumakin, spokesman of the Pan-Yoruba Socio-Political and Cultural Organization Afenifere, particularly his wife, Dr. Joe Odumakin, and Afenifere. The party says Yoruba nation and indeed the country has lost a seasoned public analyst, activist, politician and patriot who was relentless in canvassing and serving the interest of Yoruba land and the progress of the country at large. Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives Ahmed Idris Wasi has expressed shock over the death of Representative Haruna Maitala. Maitala died in a motor accident on his way to Jos from Abuja, bringing to 3 the number of House members who died within a period of 3 months. Until his death, Maitala represented Jos North Bassa Federal Constituency of Plateau State in the House of Representatives. Similarly, Minister of Women Affairs Dem Pauline Talin has described as colossal loss to the Plateau State and entire nation the death of Haruna Maitala and His Royal Highness the Oja of Anaguta Malam Jauro Magaji. A statement by the minister says the demise of the 2 personalities occurred at a time when their wealth of experience is greatly needed to move Plateau State forward. Meanwhile, the remains of Representative Haruna Maitala have been laid to rest in Jos.
National Chairman Jibwis Sheikh Sani Yahya Jingu, who presided over the funeral prayers, advised citizens to live worthy lives.
It's very shocking. So loving, he's so caring. I just pray for Allah to reward him with paradise.
Among dignitaries at the burial are the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, Ahmed Idris Wase. Federal and state legislators. The late Haruna Maitala died along with his son, his driver and one of his aides in an auto crash along Kefi-Abuja Road on his way to Jos for the wedding of one of his sons. In Jos, Caleb Gochin, NTN.
Time for some messages. We are back for the subject matter of Weekend File shortly. Join us again. Thanks for staying with us. The tales of inefficiency that before now characterized maize farming in the Kano state is giving way to scaled-up production, profitability and proliferation of industries that guarantee sustainable future for maize farmers. Yahanasu Hassan Barao tells us more.
Endowed with vast fertile land suitable for maize production and a good population of able-bodied committed farmers, Kano State stands out among its counterparts in the cultivation of the most consumed cereal in Nigeria, maize. To maximize efficiency and all-year-round production, the federal and state governments, alongside development partners, have been providing farmers with assorted inputs like high-quality drought-resistant seeds and other inputs, as well as technical support through extension services. Aisha Samaila Gundusi, one of such lucky farmers, says these supports have increased her output by about 50%.
The input has made me to cultivate large percentage of my farm. We thank the federal government for this support.
It was given in good time, and with the improvement of the facilities in terms of the production, we can see the farm has grown. Most likely she will get double, if not triple.
These gains of increased efficiency, yield and profitability have further led to the expansion of the value chain, evidenced by the proliferation of small and large-scale maize processing factories in the state.
We processed is purchased 100% here in Nigeria, and we processed 200 metric ton of maize daily.
Although the 2021 seasonal rainfall prediction forecast a drought spell in Kano, an agricultural expert believes this will not affect production of maize if improved seeds are planted.
There is nothing to fear about it. Farmers should plant at normal time and try to plant varieties that will mature in good time.
All that is required to meet the nation's demand for maize, Shamaki says, is increased volumes of support from government and other development partners, as well as scaled-up commitment from the farmers. In Kano, Yahanasu Hassan Barao, NTA.
And the desire of a farmer venturing into any form of farming is to ensure food sufficiency and as a source of income to meet up with other needs. This noble dream sometimes is not fully achieved due to factors attributed to both human and nature. Our correspondent examines the prospects and challenges of farmers in Benue State as the 2021 cropping season approaches.
Benue State, with its appellation as the food basket of the nation, is endowed with a rich soil capable of producing a wide variety of both food and cash crops, even in commercial quantities.
Benue has a competitive and comparative advantage over all other states in more than 7 major crops. Mention them: cassava, yam, rice, soybean, sesame, citrus.
However, the expectations of Rita Aundongu, like many other farmers, are often not met due to certain constraints, including lack of access to farming inputs and modern farming techniques.
I want the government to assist us to get farm inputs like fertilizers, chemicals.
When rainfall first 2-3 days, we will find difficult to farm, and then we see grass coming up. So we need herbicides to apply for the grass to go down.
For the head of the Farmers Association in the state, farmers are expecting a bumper harvest for the year 2021 in accordance with the seasonal rainfall prediction.
We are still pleading that they should make inputs available for farmers for production. Farmers are eager to produce.
According to the Director, Agricultural Services, Benue State, Mr. Thomas Nongo, the state government will ensure the timely supply of farming inputs for the 2021 cropping season, a situation he believes will promote farming activities and improve yields. He adds that the state has the capacity to export many crops like yam, cassava and sesame, a potential that is of utmost priority to the state. In Makudi, Elias Itiaf, NT News.
Harnessing the economic gains as repository in Nigeria's agribusiness for foreign earnings will require the development of produce to meet international standards for export. Experts in their submissions expressed confidence that these can be achieved through value addition and promotion that will translate to increase in 35% jobs provided by the sector to mitigate poverty and economic sustainability. Amakao reports.
Nigeria is set to be the leading producer of about 7 crops in the world. Industry players are advocating that existing gaps be closed to enable the country get listed on the international market as leading exporter of any of this produce.
The statistics go that no Nigerian farm exports fresh horticulturals to the European Union because of standard reasons.
Data has it that Nigeria produces about 60% of the world's shea butter and exports over 300,000 tons of sesame seeds, valued at 27 billion naira as at fourth quarter of 2020. These industry players continue to clamor for improvement in quality of produce for export and for acceptance in other climes.
Their products are good, our commodities are good, they get into the market, but the fact is that for exporters, because of logistics, it is not as profitable as it ought to be.
Most of our products are being accepted and some are also being rejected. The issue of rejection might be attributed to so many things. First of all, export is not an all-commerce affair. You need to be trained.
Nigeria is endowed with arable land for high-quality yields. Experts re-emphasize adequate attention being made to prevent exports of potential jobs. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Time now to speak with my guest in the person of Professor Mohammed Khalid Uthman. He is the former Executive Director of National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services. Of course, he joins me from our Kaduna Network Center. You're welcome, Professor Uthman, to Weekend File.
Thank you very much for having me, Mr. Joseph Johnson. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the 2020 wet season farming report indicates a drop in the national crop production. What were the factors responsible?
As you may recall, in 2020, the biggest challenge was the COVID-19. And as you all know, nobody was expecting that COVID-19 was going to be what it proved to be. And it came to Nigeria when the season was just about starting. In fact, it started in the south. And you may recall there were lockdown, restriction of movements, and several input manufacturers were forced to close down their industries. And as a result, the inputs were not available. And at the time when government and everybody look at it that, look, we have to do something about it. At that time, it was quite...
We seem to be having a hitch there from our Kaduna Network Center, but no worries, we will be back just after these messages. Don't go away. The concerns of farmers and those in the agro-allied industry have remained unchanged, even as the farming season sets in. This is just as experts are worried that not much has been put in place to deepen the agro-allied industry value chain and the associated economies of scale. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
Change is a major concern affecting the cropping season in Rivers State and parts of the region.
The rain is not going to come very early this year, so farmers should start going back to the farm from April ending. It also goes to show that the length of growing season will be shorter for us this year. And if the length of growing season will be shorter, it means we need early maturing species of crops.
While farmers adjust to this new reality, the prospect for production, preservation and marketing of farm produce have remained static. Over the years, there have been spirited agitations for the diversification of the nation's economy, with emphasis on deepening the agro-allied industry.
Production is not the problem. We can produce one or two commodity, but where does it end? It ends on the shelf of the local farmer.
The chemical for this preservation of these farm products, that is the only area I think federal government can help to help the farmers in the country to preserve some of our farm products.
Keen watchers have insisted that the government has a huge role to play beyond policy formulation towards making the agro-allied industry more attractive to farmers and other investors in the sector. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And Shehu Mohammed Dati from Sokoto says, preparatory to the commencement of wet season farming, farmers have started doing the needful in anticipation of a bumper harvest.
Land preparation and transporting organic manure to the farmlands is what the farmers are engaged in at the moment. Casting their minds back to last year's losses due to flood, the leadership of farmers in Sokoto said they look forward to a positive prediction by NIMET this year. Apart from fear of flood, another challenge for the farmers is buying seedlings from the open market, which poses threat of getting bad seeds.
If you observe the event of the past 2 to 3 days, that the climate change is really affecting the whole process of the economy, a signal to us, we the farmers, that they may likely rain start early this year. But you know, due to climate change now, it is very difficult for you to predict the weather.
Priority crops in Sokoto include millet, maize, beans, sorghum and groundnut. Delay in supply of fertilizer and improved seedlings from the government are among factors leading to low cropping season.
We are not anticipating any loss or reduction in yield. We are expecting to get a very good high yield in regards to the production by the farmers.
The Sokoto state government said it has made adequate provisions for the farmers with a view to ensuring successful farming season.
So the government of Sokoto State decided to have a robust dry season farming activity so as to get all what we lost during the rainy season.
To ensure genuine farmers benefit from government subsidized fertilizer and inputs, Farmers Association will be engaged in the distribution of the fertilizer and other inputs. In Sokoto, Shehu Muhammad Dati, NTA News.
All right, we will have to apologize once again for that glitch we experienced a little earlier when we joined our Kaduna Network Center. Well, let's just go back there now. I understand we've sorted that out. And join my guest, still Professor Mohammed Khalid Uthman. Glad to have you back, sir.
Yes, so as I was saying, even when there is this COVID-19, there was also
Okay. Hey, just so we get off, just before we had that heat, you were talking about, of course, the dip in the national crop production. That's talking about 2020. I understand that, you know, there were also talks about changes in weather, you know, the changes in the weather and how these changes affect farmers. Tell us about that too.
It's very true. The climate change is real, and many countries are really waking up to see that they have to mitigate it, the effect of this climate change. And even here in Nigeria, a lot is being done, because I'm very much aware that several research institutes, especially those that were given mandate for genetic improvement of crops, they have actually developed several varieties that can withstand certain, climate challenges. For instance, when you have a short duration, rainy season, there are some short duration varieties of crops that were developed. And some of these, they are still in the shelf of the researchers because of the poor extension services. Because like I mentioned, extension service is the most important, issue that has to be addressed when you're talking about, knowledge-driven agriculture. And unfortunately, as we are today, most of the states have very, very, very few extension personnel. Like I mentioned during the World Food Day, we said that after the conduct of the survey, we discovered that many states have very, very inadequate extension personnel. And not only that, many of them also are not being funded to do their work. And you see, extension requires that you must go out and meet the farmers, and you must also establish trial, demonstration with the farmers, because you have to do it with the farmers. So without logistic costs, there's no way an extension personnel can do it. The average of ratio of extension personnel and farmers in Nigeria today is between 1 to 7,000, which is practically impossible for any extension personnel to really, meet the needs of about 7,000 without required funding. So that is one. Thirdly, many farmers especially, they are still taking farming as, a kind of annual ritual. But that is not. Farming is a business. And the very day you are going to plant your crop, you should know when you are going to harvest it. So that means that there must be a plan from the beginning. You see, at this time, most of the farmers need to have what you call a cropping calendar that will guide them on what to do and week by week until when they are going to harvest, and even after the harvesting and things like that. So when you do it in that way, definitely your productivity is going to be increased, and you will be mindful of every detail of your farming business. But when you are just doing it as our great-grandparents have been doing it, then definitely you cannot get the desired results. And at the same time, we also need to mechanize our agriculture, because today you will find that the average age of a farmer is about 47 years of age. That means that most of the people involved in farming are old people. The young men and women are shying away from farming because of the issue of drudgery. And that issue has to be addressed, so that once we can mechanize, even at a small level, then you find that our productivity will increase. And Nigeria will be able not only to feed itself, but even be able to export food, and then provide a lot of employment to several people.
What about inputs? Last year, your report indicated challenges in accessing seeds and chemical. What is your advice this year? I mean, as, of course, the cropping season approaches.
Advice has always been that we should start early. You see, when we are starting wet season, the planning for wet season starts around February, January, especially in the north. And in the south, you should start as early as November, December, so that you will plan all the crop you are going to plant, and you also have to have the input where you're going to have them and things like that. Because you will have to have your input at the time you need it. If you don't have it, then it's going to be a problem. So my advice is that the government, state government, and local government, we should all come out right now to see how we can start this program. I mean, providing the necessary support. And we also need to see if there's any deficit, where are you going to get it, and things like that. So the most important thing is that it's starting very early. And at the same time, like I also mentioned, it is very important that farmers need to identify the right inputs. And we also have to check the practices of this, some of the input dealers that adulterate, and then when such inputs are adulterated and they will not give the desired result. And then there's also the issue of seed. Seed is the most important, pillars of any farming. If you don't have the right seed, there's no way you can achieve the desired objective. So we must identify, farmers must identify where to get good seeds and how to also make use of these good seeds, and then all other operations that need to be done, farmers need to be trained. So it is important that the state government, like we mentioned, they should give the necessary support. Luckily, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development just conducted, training of extension personnel, about 75,000 extension personnel across the nation. So they should put that training into use, and then the state government should give the necessary support. And once that is done, I believe we'll be on the right track, and the productivity of farmers will increase and will double. Because we have, you look at it that on the average yield in Nigeria of maize is about 2 to 3 tons per hectare, when you can even get as many as 8 to 10 tons per hectare. So how do we achieve this? And we have these varieties available, but we cannot achieve it because many people don't know where to get the right seed, where to get the right input, and what to do to it, and how to go about it.
All right, thank you, Professor, for your insight there. I'm afraid we've run out of time, but we'd like to thank you for your insight. Professor Mohammed Kali Uthman, the former Executive Director of National Agricultural Extension and Research License Services. Thank you.
Very much.
All right, let's take another quick break. Do stay with us. Let's bring you sports now. All is now set for Sunday kickoff of sporting events in the Edo 2020 National Sports Festival, as contingents from various states this weekend took advantage of the facilities in some of the venues to train ahead of the competition. Peter Oyibo reports.
Boxers are among other contingents who have arrived Benin City, Edo State capital, for the National Sport Festival. They are currently camping at the Games Village awaiting the kickoff of the competition. NTA Sports camera lens also captured this training section of swimmers and other games at the Indoor Sport Hall of the Ogbemudia Stadium. For these athletes and coaches, the mood is high, ready to go for gold and not to settle for anything less in the tournament.
I've been putting all my best, and I know it's going to be a success, and I thank God for the life and for everything happening now.
Transport Festival is real. It has commenced now.
We're actually expecting to do very well at the games.
We don't really have injury worries for now, and we are good to go.
The festival will, however, begin on Sunday with boxing, football, cycling, cricket, and other games. In Benin, Peter Oyibo, NTA News.
And Olumide Eguntala is a guide on sports update.
Athletes, officials, and administrators across various sports federations have received the COVID-19 vaccine ahead of the National Sports Festival in Edo State and other international events. This is part of the pre-tournament requirements as stipulated by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19.
Show everyone, especially within our sports industry, that is safe.
Get vaccinated and let's help make Nigerian sports again a reality.
And in Lagos, The state team has been motivated by the government to excel at the games. The Lagos State Sports Commission charged the team when it hosted athletes at the Teslim Balogun Stadium to redeem monetary pledges it made to athletes who won medals at the 2018 National Sports Festival in Abuja.
Lagos State government is a continuum. We will fulfill it, and that is what we're doing today.
Lagos State athletes, go and do your best, bring back gold.
And from Ebonyi, athletes and officials of the state contingent have promised to come out tops at the 20th National Sports Festival, despite challenges confronting the team.
There is no encouragement.
Other states are also complaining. So when we get there, they will not face each other.
In another news, preparations are in top gear for Nigeria to host the African Military Games for the first time come October 2021 in Abuja. The planning committee led by Commodore Mohammed Wabi were in Lagos to seek more support.
Soldiers can be able to run, they can show their physique.
In football, result of the Nigerian National League played Saturday indicates that Godoski FC defeated Crown Football Club of Ogbomoso 2-1. In the Nigerian Professional Football League, it was a goalless outing between Sunshine Stars and Akwa United. And from the continental scene, two-time African champions Enyimba of Aba will on Sunday attempt to go top of Group A of the CAF Confederations Cup when the team takes on ES Tiv of Algeria in match day 3 of the tournament. From the English Premier League, Manchester City extend its lead on the table with 17 points after a 2-0 away victory over Leicester City, while Chelsea was humbled 2-5 by West Bromwich Albion. With sports updates, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
And that's Weekend File. From me, Joseph Johnson, and the entire Weekend File team, we thank you for watching. And remember to always stand with the NTA against rape and rapists. Good night.